Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and learn how to methodically diagnose and actually fix a broken network using the Cisco command line interface. We're going to treat network troubleshooting not just as, a set of random commands, but as a real structured detective arc. So picture this. A remote site just went dark. Where do you even begin? I mean, downtime literally costs money, and the clock is ticking loud. When a site suddenly drops off the map, we have to step in as digital detectives to find that invisible break. We absolutely cannot just guess here. We need to rely on the concrete data our devices are giving us. Our primary magnifying glass for this investigation? The Cisco command line interface. And to use it effectively when the pressure is on, well, we need a flawless strategy.
And here is that strategy, our incident response checklist. First, we've got the golden sequence, then isolating the fault, investigating routing protocols, live connectivity testing, and finally, securing the repair. Let's get into it.
Section 1, the golden sequence. All right, before we can solve the mystery, we have to establish a baseline of control over our router. To execute commands, we first need to understand where we actually are within the system. You see, Cisco IOS operates in a really strict hierarchy of modes. Think of it kind of like physical building security, right? First, you have user EXC, which you'll see as a right-angle bracket prompt. This is basically the read-only lobby. Your access is super limited here. Then, by typing enable, you escalate to privileged EXC, shown by a pound sign. This is the manager's office. It gives you full diagnostic access. And finally, by typing configure terminal, you enter global config. This is the mechanical room, where device-wide settings are fundamentally changed. You absolutely must be in the right room to use the right tools. Now, this brings us to the golden sequence. Literally the first 3 crucial commands every single engineer must run when logging into an unknown device. First up, show version to check the device model, the uptime, and, crucially, the last reload reason. Second, show IP interface brief. This scans all your interface states so you can instantly see what's up, what's down, or what's administratively shut. And third, show IP route to inspect the routing table, confirm your paths, and spot any conspicuously missing prefixes. Honestly, together these 3 commands just instantly establish the lay of the land for us. Moving on to Section 2, isolating the fault. Okay, with our baseline established, we begin the interrogation phase. This is our step-by-step workflow for a dropped remote site. Step 1, verify routing with show IP route, just to see if the route to the remote subnet even exists. Because hey, a missing route immediately narrows down the fault. Step 2, we drop down a layer to check the interfaces with show IP interface brief. Step 3, verify layer 2 adjacency with show CDP neighbors detail. And step 4, we consult the system health. We review the syslog using the show log command to catch any link flaps or protocol resets that happen exactly when the site went dark. Let's zoom in on that interface level for a second. We really need to contrast a healthy interface, one showing up, up, against a broken one showing down, down. If you do spot a down, down state, you're going to run show interfaces to look under the hood. And if you see high CRC errors, that is a massive clue. High CRC errors immediately point us to a physical layer issue, like a bad cable, maybe a faulty SFP module, or a duplex mismatch. It literally tells you exactly where to send your remote hands. But what if the interfaces appear up? Well, then we need to verify what is actually sitting on the other end of that cable. This specific command is an absolute lifesaver because it reveals layer 2 physical failures, which saves you from having to physically walk all the way to the data center just to trace cables. By running show CDP neighbors detail, you can discover your directly connected Cisco devices and their IP addresses without even needing login access to them. If CDP entries are missing, it clearly reveals physical or cabling failures to your upstream devices. Section 3, investigating routing protocols. So, if the physical cables and the interfaces are perfectly fine, it is time for a little logical brain surgery. The crucial thing to understand here is that logical misconfigurations will silently kill your connection, even if the link shows as up and completely healthy. For example, in OSPF, if you check your neighbor states and see them trapped in X-star or two-way states, it almost always means an MTU mismatch or an authentication failure. On the flip side, an autonomous system number mismatch in EIGRP will prevent the adjacency entirely. The neighbor just won't appear at all. Recognizing these specific protocol states is going to drastically speed up your repair time. Now, the rules change just a bit when we look at BGP. BGP is notoriously stubborn. With BGP, if a route doesn't exist in the local routing table first, it is never going to be advertised to its neighbors.
So if your verification shows the prefix is missing, boom, that's your root cause. You have to manually inject it into BGP using a network statement. And hey, if the route doesn't exist locally at all, you might actually need to inject it via a static route pointing to null 0, just to force BGP to originate the prefix and get that traffic flowing again.
Section 4. Live connectivity testing.
All right, we've narrowed down the suspects, we've checked the routing logic, and now we build our active testing arsenal to pinpoint exactly where packets are dropping in real time. We don't just blindly ping here. We use standard ping for basic reachability. We use traceroute for hop-by-hop path discovery. This identifies exactly where latency spikes or where packets are falling into a black hole. And crucially, we use the extended ping. By typing ping, putting in the IP, and then adding modifiers like repeat 1000, size 1500, we are properly stress testing the line with large packets. This specifically exposes those hidden MTU issues and path fragmentation problems that a standard tiny little ping will just breeze right past. But you have to test systematically to actually isolate the fault domain. Step 1, if you can't even ping your local gateway, the issue is strictly local. Maybe an interface is down or it's an ARP failure. Step 2, if the gateway passes, you escalate. You test end-to-end to the remote IP. Step 3, you test from a specific source, like your loopback interface, to validate that return traffic is being routed correctly. And finally, step 4, you trace the hop-by-hop path to pinpoint the exact device that is dropping the ball. Now, sometimes ping and traceroute just aren't enough, and you need to watch the routing engine in real time using debugs. But, and this is a quick word of terrifying caution for all our digital detectives out there, using the debug IP packet command without a strict access control list filter is basically guaranteed to crash your production router under heavy load. Seriously. Unfiltered, the CPU gets completely overwhelmed trying to trace every single transit packet. So use debugs sparingly, always use an ACL filter, and turn them off immediately with undebug all the second you're done. Section 5, securing the repair. Okay, we have successfully isolated the fault, debugged the issue, and repaired the configuration. But listen to me, our job is not finished until we secure our work. To prevent an absolute disaster, we follow a strict 3-step sequence. First, we verify our active changes in RAM using show running config, just to ensure everything looks correct. Second, we permanently write those changes to NVRAM using the copy run start command or copy running config startup config. Finally, we confirm the save by checking show startup config to validate that NVRAM exactly matches what we intended to do. I literally cannot emphasize this enough. The documentation warns that unsaved configurations are permanently lost on reload. Let me tell you, there is absolute panic in realizing you forgot to save, and a sudden router power cycle just completely wiped out hours of your hard-fought troubleshooting work. Always save. I promise, your future self will thank you. So, you've successfully closed this case. You found the break, you corrected the logical mismatches, verified the data path, and saved the configuration to NVRAM. Great job. But networks are living, breathing, constantly moving entities. When the next link inevitably goes dark and those alarms start blaring all over again, which command from the golden sequence will you run first? Keep that checklist ready.